Hey YouTube, it's Petey Two Finger, and rather than let this weekend get the best of me, I really been under the weather. I got sick, and I've just been miserable. But I finished the pedal board today, and it works. Woohoo! I've got a clone, which is a silver horse, and then a clean boost, which has volume, gain, bass, and treble controls. The boost is zip tied in place, and I used the bicycle chain method on the Silver Horse. So the bicycle chain method is where it's a tool you can buy, and it has a hardened steel poker, and you line up the chain in this little groove, and then you spin the thing, and it pushes the pins through. So you end up with, for each link, it's two pins that you have to push through, and then you'll have two of these little figure eight pieces of steel that have holes in them. So you can take the screw out of the bottom of the pedal, line your figure eight up, and put the screw back in, and then that secondary hole is what you use to run the screws through to hold the pedal down to the pedal board. So this is a really neat way to avoid using Velcro or zip ties. I thought, oh, I'll do the bicycle chain method because I bought a bicycle chain and the tool and completely disassembled the entire thing. So I've got a big old bag of those links, so I can do this when I want. Now, the booster is not the same as any other 1590A type pedal that I've ever dealt with. And it uses some real small, real short, stubby little skinny screws to hold the bottom plate on. So it's a no-go. So I ended up just doing what I've been doing. On this one, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna break my thing, my cycle, and I'm gonna do it a little nicer and use the bicycle chain method. And it worked on the one, not on the other. So it's one of these things does not belong here. Now, here we have the 18650 batteries that power it. I put this spline tape, that's what you use to repair a book that's fallen apart. And I got that from my mom. I remember her showing me when I was a kid. She repaired her Webster's dictionary with this tape, and it really made an impression on me. I ended up with the tape. I think that was the only time she used it. Well, no, I know she fixed more books with it, but she had a good amount of it. That was a huge roll of spline tape. So this is what I put on these batteries to give you something to grab onto, pulling them out of the holder. So you can see it's got markings. There's red and green, and that's nail varnish. I will get that used at the Goodwill. You can find me in the women's toiletry aisle digging through, and there'll be ladies that are like, he gay. They're like,
Well, everybody wears nail polish now.
yeah, that's true. That's true. This is another thing that I did you ever give me that?
No, you need to add more to the supply bottle.
Okay. Okay. I have another bottle um, that has like more of a heavy duty spray mechanism that's like, I don't know if it's metal. It's probably plastic with some fake metal on it, but that was the one bottle that I found at Goodwill in the women's section that I was like really excited about. So this is done. It uses this panel like a lot of times if I'm running a switch or jack through 3/4 half-inch ply, the wood is so thick you don't have enough thread on whatever it may be to go all the way through. Now I can use a Forstner bit to remove that wood, but I got in the habit of using these plates, and like the wood is everything on here, the fasteners, it's all recycled. I don't like to pay for materials, so there's this place down the street called Anchor Rock, and it's an industrial park where I've been known to go in the back and raid their dumpsters. And man, I found so much great stuff at Anchor Rock. I could just go on and on and on and on and on.
That'll be another video.
That'll be another video. So these were samples of some type of stock, little pieces of aluminum, metal, all different colors and textures. And they didn't have 4 holes. They have a single hole where they had a chain going around where you turn the light on in the closet, that type of material. So I built a little jig, and you can plop one of these in there and take another one and just rotate it and flip it around, and that'll serve as a guide where you can drill out the other 3 corners and get 4 perfectly lined up holes for mounting. And then you run a pencil over the inside of it and find your center point and drill that out. So you'll do a pilot drill hole through first, and then use a step drill bit to get the hole big enough to house the switch or whatever it is, jack, and Bob's your uncle. Now you can see there, it sits on an angle. The board, the actual pedals are at an angle. And how I achieved that, the back piece, I had a long piece with another matching long piece, and I offset those and used C-clamps to hold it down, and then you'll take the circular saw, there's an adjuster you loosen up and you can tilt the whole thing at an angle. So I did that, and then I had that one piece of wood on the bottom, and another one. They're like this, so you can run the saw, and they're perfectly straight. So you run the saw up against the top board, and that'll enable you to get a perfectly straight cut, and with the thing at an angle. So what you end up with is this little. There's a word for this type of board, slate. It's like almost like a fence post type piece of wood, long and narrow. And in this case, the top is not square; it's at an angle. So I eyed it out, cut the top panel, laid the board down, made a mark, cut the back panel, and then I laid it down, and it's like this at this point. But this board was the other half of this, and it was taller at that time. It was coming up to here because they were the same size, but it's angled. So the front needs to be shorter, You see that? How this piece is longer than that. So I had it sitting on the counter, and this piece is longer. It's coming up to here. It hadn't been cut yet. And I took a piece of paper, like cardstock, laid it on here, and made a little mark with a fine point Sharpie, and then used a T-square and ran that line where it needed to be. And I held this board up with the skill saw. Put my tongue out. Ying! Hey, PD, one finger. No, I'm kidding. It came out. It came out fine. The piece is fused. It doesn't wobble or nothing. I really was proud of myself. And I knew a guy who used to say that I fucked it. This is what he would do. He would refuse to use a measuring device or a pencil, and then he would make these cuts and put it together, and it was an eternal source of amusement and use of the term I-effing, which doesn't really sound like something you want to be doing, does it? Maybe back in the 50s. So there is a fuse here. There's a little guy there. I think there's a ridiculous, it should be like a 1 amp. There's a 2 amp fuse in there now. And I use some dumb bishop tape to hold down, which is like blue tack, but it's black and it's more resilient. Did I talk about the nail polish?
Yeah, because you started talking about the spray bottles too.
And the spline tape. So yeah, this is done. I will run this in the effects loop of my MG30. There is a switch on the silver fox, silver horse. The golden horse doesn't have the switch, and it's $2 difference. Spend the extra $2 because the switch toggles between running clipping diodes or clipping LEDs. And with the LEDs, it's less compressed, it's more open, it's louder. It's just like if you're looking for, if you do that, you'll have the switch up. I'm an adult. I don't do that ever. So I'm going to be wanting a more open, less compressed, less fizz. But even with the switch up, it's really a pleasant. This is a great pedal. Now I have two Klon clones that are supposedly one-to-one clones that I built. And it's different than this. Mosky, however you pronounce this, they redesigned the Klon, or this is different. It's not the same as a Klon, but it's great. This is a really excellent pedal. The Rowan boost, again, I did try it out, and my initial impression was, yes, this is an excellent clean boost. I love the features that it has a gain and a volume, a treble, and a bass. Now, the gain is not dirty gain. It's a clean boost, and that's what I had hoped for. What this is replacing, I still have the other two boards that I use. I have three boost / overdrive / distortion boards. I'm not a fuzz guy, although I have a ridiculous amount of fuzz pedals. Germanium, rare, modified. I have a Spaceman Effects Leica 2, which the last one that sold on Reverb, I think, was $2,300, and I built two of those. So I really love the EP booster, which is the Echoplex booster. I really love that thing. And I've tried quite a few, but I read that this Rowan boost is just as good as the EP, and my initial thoughts were yes, it is, which I was hopeful. So yeah, I'll run this in the effects loop. I've been getting into boost. I'm going down boost road now, and I've built the MXR micro amp. I don't know if I'm going to be building that one. I know people really like it. I probably will. How many clean boosts do you need? And if I'm going to be doing it, I might want to go for something that has character, which would be like the Boss FA1, what the Edge use, and that's getting into more of an overdrive idea. As far as that type of thing, the Range Master is the one. And there's an update on that, which is a 3-knob affair made by Catlin Bread. It's known as the Naga Viper. And this is a very simple circuit utilizing a run-of-the-mill silicon transistor, being the 2N2222. Hey, sounds good to me. So that is a 3-knob pedal, volume, I think it's gain and tone. And people that know about that Naga Viper love it. Then there's the going down the germanium road. I've got germanium here, trust me. But I really think ultimately I more than likely will do the Catlin Bread, do the Naga Viper, and then probably call it a day. Probably have enough. I have an AMZ MOSFET boost here. I have two ZVEX shows, which I really like the ZVEX show. I got a couple of COT 50s. I really like those. I got a couple of Hale Rust drivers. I got the BB preamp. I've got the Benson preamp, So, trying this stuff out, there's a thing when you have a Strat in the 2 and 4 position, and I really like that. And some of these pedals diminish that. I've only found one that really amplifies it. like really considerably makes that more noticeable, and that's the ZVEX show. But the EP boost is cool because it really doesn't mess with the tone. But the boost, there's something about the character of the boost that I really like. That's been my favorite. If you're not a boost guy, that would be the one I would recommend. And you can build one. You know, they have the Vero layouts, but there's a PCB you can buy for $6 from the company that sells the components that you'll need to buy to build it, which is Tata.com. So you can go to Tata.com, you can look under Guitar Effects circuit boards and find their EP booster clone, PCB. And it has all the parts listed. You buy the parts from them. It has a pre-drilled chassis that's already powder coated. So it's gonna cost you. You're gonna end up paying, depending on where you live, $50 to $60 to get it shipped to you. But then you'll have the experience of building the thing for yourself. And you know, you could just as soon get an EP clone shipped to your door for about half, you know, on AliExpress or eBay. So that's something to consider. I'm not a huge advocate of these Chinese mini pedals. I am considering getting the Mosky, how do you say that? The C4 mini compressor. It's a clone of a Keeley 4-knob compressor for $20. And I really only have I have one. Well, I have three right now. Um, I have a compressor and a compressor a limiter on my wife's baseboard, and then I've got a really nice Dynacomp that I built that has the CA3080 chip that came out of a Lowry organ. I got two of those IC chips out of this organ, which is a good thing that I got two because I blew one of them screwing around changing out the current limiting resistor because the LED was too bright. And I had somebody over and I was showing off, and I reversed polarity it because I wasn't paying attention. I had an adapter cable I had made that reversed polarity, and I had that in play for something else. And I unplugged it and plugged it into this thing, and it blew out the $30 chip. That's why they call me Mr. Reverse Polarity. Anyway, you guys, thank you for joining me on this one. I know I've been doing so many pedal and pedal board videos and talking about this stuff. You guys are probably blue in the face. We will have new music coming for you soon. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And speaking of music, I ran into a guitar player named Cyrus. Cyrus has a YouTube channel. I want you guys to go show him some love. I'll put his link in the description. He's not jabberjawing as much as he's making music over there. He's playing his instruments, his unique instruments, in his even more unique playing style. Now, this isn't Enter Sandman. He's not playing Black Sabbath Paranoid cover or Pink Floyd Comfortably Numb. This isn't Last Dance of Mary Jane. He's playing original compositions and experimental stuff. And I could go on and try to describe it or pigeonhole it or put a name on it or categorize it. I'm going to say it's unique, it's enthralling, it's interesting, and it's beautiful. I also questioned the authenticity of it. Like, is he a human being? Because it appeared to me he may have been some sort of a cyborg or robot at some times. Like, it's just inhuman. And he got going, and this is a long piece, and like 3/4 of the way through it, all of a sudden he gave it the gas, and it just got so intense. I was like, how is this guy even able to do that? But it's not. This isn't shred-o-mania, you know. And he's playing through gear that he's built. I believe he's got this unusual amplifier. So I've already said way too much, but head over to Cyrus' YouTube channel. He's using the word Esquire in all capital letters to initiate the algorithm and gather some interest and momentum. So let's show Cyrus some love, and you're gonna check it out, and you're gonna instantly subscribe, because this is really something special. So definitely check out this guy's YouTube channel. I'll do another like recommend video. But for those of you who stuck around through another video of me talking about pedal boards, I'm so sorry. You guys take care of yourselves. Try to stay warm. Hug your pets. And peace.